Hi folks, this is Nat, and this is your video lesson on sales and markups. Sales and markups are two really common uses of percent change. If you remember in our last video lesson, we covered percent change and how you calculate that. So we're going to be focusing really specifically on these really, super familiar ways that we see percent change in our everyday lives. As a quick reminder, percent change is calculated, at least one way to calculate it is with this formula. This is the one we've seen before. So we've got the idea that real change right here is the difference between the old and the new. So that's in math how we measure change. It's the difference between old values and new values. And we put that over the original value, the old value, and that's equal to our percent change over 100. So hopefully that feels pretty familiar after our last lesson. Which brings us to sales and markups. You may not have thought about this before, but both sales and markups are common uses for percent change. We're probably more familiar with sales. A sale is what happens at a store, say, when a store decides that it can't usually or actually sell an item for the amount that it originally asked for. The item's been sitting on the shelf for too long. We sometimes call this a discount. But basically, the store takes the item's price and cuts it by a particular percent. And oftentimes we see this as a percent off. So you might say, I went to a store that was having a 30% off sale, and that's just a percent change. The 30% off is like a 30% decrease. It tells us the percentage things are changing. On the other hand, a markup is a little bit different. Markup is the way a store actually makes its money most of the time. Stores typically don't actually make the things they sell, or many stores don't actually make the things they sell, so they have to actually go out and purchase the things that they then turn around and sell to you. Well, being a store, they can't just sell things to you for the price they paid, because then they don't have they actually lose money. They have to sell things with employees, and they have to have a store, and all that costs money. So in order to be able to do that, they have to charge you more than what they paid for it. And that's what markup is. A markup is money added to the cost of an item so that a store can actually make some money. And lots of stores just do this as sort of like a blanket policy, so a store might just generally do a 50% markup. So markup then is just a percentage added on to the cost of the item. You might think of it as a percent increase. Again, this is a percent change. And here's an example of that. A store buys a lamp for $30 and marks it up 50%. How much will it sell the lamp for? So we've got this store. It bought a lamp from wherever for $30. It wants to make some money on it, so it marks it up 50%. Keeping in mind our percent change formula, the first thing that we should see is that the markup is 50%. That's a percent increase, a percent change. So 50% increase over 100, this should look pretty familiar, is going to equal our original price. Well, in this case, the original price is $30. And what's not known is the change. Remember, in a percent change formula, we're always dealing with change. So you're going to notice that the question here says, how much will it sell the lamp for? But we're actually not finding that out right away. We're finding out how much it's going to change the price by. So if we cross multiply here, we've got 30 times 50. That makes 1,500. And that's equal to 100 C's, and I put in C for change to help me remember I was finding change, not the answer to the question I was asked. And what I'm going to see is that C equals 15, or in this case, $15 to go with my $30. So they're going to change the price by $15. Since this is markup, they're going to be adding it on. So the original lamp was a $30 lamp, and they have added on or marked it up by $15, which is 50%, and it will now cost $45, and that's the answer to my question. So they'll buy it for $30, and with a 50% markup, the store will sell it for $45. And hopefully that really makes sense, because 50% is half. So they're basically taking half the price, adding it back on again, and selling it for that new amount. So they took half of 30, which is 15, and added those together again, so it's 50% marked up. So here we've got a question dealing with sales. A store puts a pair of jeans that it would normally sell for $60 on clearance. A clearance is a type of sale, for $20. What percent is it on sale for? Well, I'm asking about a percent, so a good place to start would probably be to say X over 100. I don't know what percent it's on sale for. And that should be equal to the original price. So if I look through here, it normally sells for 60, so that's the original price. And now I'm looking for the change. Keeping in mind, it may not just be the other number in the question. So it normally sells for 60. It's on clearance for 20. That's the new price. It's not the change. So I need to figure the difference there. And 60 minus 20 is 40. So they've changed the price or discounted the price by 40 bucks. Now I'm ready to figure out the percent change. So 40 times 100 is 4,000. X times 60 is 60 x's. Going to divide both sides by 60. This is where I'll probably plug this into a calculator. And what I find is the value of x is going to be 66 and 6 repeating forever. And I was asked for a percent, so that's what this is. This is a 66 and 6 tenths repeating forever percent sale. Or another way of thinking about it is that this pair of jeans is 66 and 6 repeating percent off. And that's the answer to my question. Here's another sort of percent change question. A store is having a 30% off sale. So 30% off, just to be really clear, is going to be a percent change. That's a 30% decrease. I can go ahead and start my formula if I want to. 30%. How much will you pay for a shirt that was originally $45? Well, that's a nice thing to recognize, is there's an original price right there. So 45 was my original price. And what's missing is going to be the change here. Now, again, I want to recognize that change is not going to answer the question that's asked, but it's going to get me one step closer. So, cross multiply. 30 times 45 is 1350, 1,350, and that equals 100 x's. On the other side, I'll divide by 100. And what I discover then is that the value of x is going to be $13.50. Again, though, it's really important to recognize that a percent change formula is going to give you change. So it's a $13.50 change. In this case, it's a 30% off sale, so that's the amount that's being removed. The question that I was asked, though, is how much will I pay? So to finish this off, I'm going to have to take that $45 and remove the $13.50 that it says are being removed. And that is going to get me the answer to my question. So, the shirt that originally cost $45 is now, with a 30% off sale, going to cost me $31.50. Hopefully that all feels pretty doable. The thing that I'd stress to you is please remember to make sure that you're answering the question that you're being asked. It's a really common mistake to just kind of rote plug things in. Make sure you know what the numbers mean and that you're always coming back to, did I answer the question that I was trying to? So here are your practice problems for the lesson, just 2 of them today. Make sure you pay attention to, again, the thing you're being asked to do, and good luck.